Well, hey there, you're on the internet, I have some free time, and welcome to the Triple N Network, where all you newbie nib nerds can find all the news you'll need. Let's look at an ink today, shall we? Now, today's ink, I have in sample form, and might very well be the first I've done from this manufacturer. It's Graf von Faber-Castell's Hazelnut Brown. It's a very nice, pleasant brown. It's sort of it's like a medium brown, but slightly on the darker side. Fairly well behaved. All the tests were done in these two pens. It's a Hero 616, and this one's sort of it's actually really quite fine, and it's unaltered. It's just, I haven't made it wetter or anything, unlike this one, which not only did I make it much wetter, I also broadened it quite a bit. But actually this one came out slightly stubby, which you'll probably see in the writing. But that's cool, I like stubs, so thought I'd compare it to a few other browns I had lying around. Here's Hazelnut up at the top, compared to Diamine's Chocolate Brown, Noodler's Walnut Brown, which is a much beloved favorite brown of mine, Mont Blanc's Toffee Brown, which is a bit lighter, and Noodler's Brown, which I only had in sample form, but yeah, so there you go. Let's get out of here. Let's check out the chromatography, because this is kind of weird. I've never seen brown with so much blue in it. There's this weird blue base thing going on. And actually, I think I saw that a few times in the Graf von Faber-Castell inks. But still, as you can see, you can definitely tell where the initial drop was put. And then it pushes up all the brown. And here I let it dry, which is not how you're supposed to do it. And pretty much the only difference is the dot was slightly darker. So, paper test, top down in density, Clairefontaine, 90 grams per square meter. Yep. It's a brown, and it really is a lovely brown. You have it's great shading, it looks real good. It has a warmth to it. I sort of don't know how to describe it. But, yeah, the fine took 4 seconds to dry. The broad wet took 10, which on such dense paper is actually rather impressive. But yeah, it's, for some reason, my camera's gone kind of dark, so hang on for a second here. Does that help? I may have to edit this. I never edit. But anyways, yeah, it's kind of nice. It's very well behaved, no bleed, no feather, no spread. I'd say the flow is kind of a 6 out of 10, in that, as soon as you put it to the page with no pressure, the ink just comes out very, very easily. Yeah, not a lot of water resistance, as we might have expected from the chromatography. You can see the barest bit of where it used to be, but that's it. No bleed, no feather, no spread, no echo, no sheen. Rhodia, 80 grams per square meter. Again, it just has this warmth to it. I mean, I don't know how to describe it. It's like, I don't know. But yeah, fine took 4.5 seconds. The broad took 7. Has some lovely shading, if that's what you're looking for. Really not bad. Yeah. No bleed, no feather, no spread. There's really nothing I can say about this. And again, water test isn't great. Made a little bit of a mess of the page, but that's about it. Not much echo, considering how dark of a brown it is, but this is a fairly dense paper. Next is Tomoe River Paper, where the cream color seems to have sort of almost, not quite lightened it up, but sort of, I don't know, again, it just sort of gives it kind of a warmth. But because of the way the Tomoe River Paper tends to make ink pool, it causes it to sort of accentuate its shading, which here it certainly did, oddly in the Broadened-and-wetter pen, but yeah. So the fine took 9 seconds to dry, which is not unheard of with Tomoe River. The broad took only 15, which was kind of nice. And although there's no sheen, I'm going to try and get this on camera, there is a kind of shininess. You see that? It's not quite sheen. It doesn't take on like a gold color or anything. It just gets kind of shiny. Which, I don't know, is kind of nice. But, yeah, so it's smeared even after the ink dried, but like even it's not happening now, so maybe it just wasn't fully dry when I wrote that, but still, No bleed feather spread, as you would expect from Tomoe River. There is some echo, because this is a fairly dark ink, and this paper is extremely thin. So if that's something you're sensitive to, maybe keep an eye on it. Next is the world's worst 20-pound copier paper, where I only used the fine nib, except to write the name. It took 1 second to dry. Here, I feel like it lost some of that warmth, some of that vibrancy. It doesn't shade anymore. I expected much worse bleed, but the nib on this pen was actually pretty fine and pretty moderate. It did bleed some, but I mean, here it's the scrubby and it's right along the edge of the page, which means that it has something to do with how the paper was made. And I mean, there's some like echo, some show through, but considering how awful this paper is, I really can't say that that's surprising or even that bad, because usually stuff just like seeps through. There is some spread and there is some feathering. I don't know if the camera's going to be able to pick it up, but yeah, it's so in that regard didn't do too awesome. But and then this paper hates water, so the water test is a disaster. It became like a furry little teddy bear or something. Like, dyed the page a lot. That would not be the easiest thing to recover. Next is Mead Notebook Paper, where you do get some feathering. I'll try and show it in the G. See that? In the H and the E. But yeah, it took 1.5 seconds to dry. The paper, or the ink, the color, yeah, I can talk, still retains a little bit of that warmth here, which is nice. And there was not as much bleed as I would have expected, considering just how terrible, like very low quality and thin this paper is. There's some very near show through, but I think the only place it bled through was there and here, which if you see, I crossed it out, so I feel like that's, you know, with a grain of salt. There is some echo slash show through, so be aware of that, but really not as bad as I would have expected, considering how cheap this paper is. This paper also really doesn't like water, so again, it did like furry exploding cactus thing, but it's not the easiest thing to recover. But last is Moleskine notebook paper, where the color seems to have been very much affected, and not just the way that the Tomoe River did. I mean, even here they look different from each other. That's really odd. I don't like this color so much. And even though it was only written with the fine, the performance is terrible. I mean, look at all those giant feathers. Look at the O and now. The S, jeez. And 5 seconds to dry, which I can't explain, because my light just turned off. Well, the light's back on. Sorry about that. Yeah, at this point, I feel like we all kind of know, if you've seen any of my videos or if you have personal experience, Moleskine paper does not agree with fountain pen ink. I mean, look at feathering. So it did something weird to the color. It's got extreme feathering, which is weird because this is quite a fine nib. There is some spread. The line width has been affected. Like if you look at how thin it was on Rhodia versus Moleskine. Yeah, it's not great. That water test, I don't even know what to make of that. That's a disaster. Oh, God. Exploded. Like, look at how it's overlapped. That's insane. But anyways. Yeah, despite this being a very fine nib, it actually there it did come all the way through. As you can see, there's a lot of places where it nearly came through in different little spots. Not a great showing. Not encouraging. So, yeah, but I mean, that's Moleskine, so. Other than that, though, I mean, on decent papers, yeah, or I should say premium papers, it did very well. I like the color. I particularly liked sort of the warmth that gave off, especially on Tomoe River. There's something about the quality of color that I really enjoyed. Very well behaved, decent flow, nice brown. Even on the okay papers, I mean, if you're a step up from World's Worst Copier Paper, I mean, it didn't do too bad on Mead, so yeah, for your consideration from the Triple N Network. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more, please subscribe to the channel. And thanks for watching. Bye.